Hello, super listeners. Welcome to Supermania, the podcast where we review all superhero films chronologically by release date. I'm Addie.
I'm Anton.
I'm Zac.
And we're going to get right into it. We watched Batman, the movie, from 1966, starring the late Adam West and Burt Ward. Supermania. It's our second episode, and today we're talking about Batman the movie. Not the 1989 Tim Burton movie, but the one from 1966. It kicked off the Batman television show from the 60s, starring Adam West, that everybody seems to remember and make fun of.
The definitive Batman to a lot of people.
So, just to get some context for some other films that came out the same year. Fantastic Voyage, that was the sci-fi epic where they went into a human body, they shrunk down. Manos, The Hands of Fate, which was, I think, a classic. It's a cult classic.
Yeah, it's something.
It was made popular by Mystery Science Theater episode. There's What's Up, Tiger Lily by Woody Allen.
Not a Woody Allen fan.
And then the movie that I've heard of but haven't seen, Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf, starring, I think, Joan Crawford. So that's the time we're looking at. Anton is going to give us some history of the Batman character.
All right, so Batman was created in 1939 for National Comics, which became Detective Comics, which became DC Comics.
Right.
With the name by Bob Kane and the realization by Bill Finger. Now, the first issue came out that year. This movie came out 27 years later, which is weird. That doesn't seem like, because I think we are now 27 years from Batman 89, or 28 years now.
Wow.
To put it into context. And serials were made in 1948 and 1950, but this is the first feature. This movie was made to gauge interest in a Batman TV show, a recurring theme. The same thing was happened for the Superman movie we watched last time. And this movie served as a pilot, but was released in theaters. I think that was, and I think I've seen this, and this is one of the things where they split it up into episodes too, because I saw it later on TV as a kid.
That makes sense.
The numbers. The budget was $1.37 million estimated. Gross, $1.7 million estimated worldwide. Adjusted for inflation, that's probably not great. IMDb score, 6.5 out of 10. Rotten Tomatoes score of 80%. Rotten Tomatoes user score of 62%.
Okay.
Which is odd, but I guess younger people probably.
Well, I mean, 62% is 6.5 out of 10 almost.
Yeah. But I guess younger people bring that down too.
So at least it matches up, it sounds like.
Okay. So the cast. The cast. Adam West, of course, the late Adam West as Batman. Burt Ward as Dick Grayson. Lee Merriweather, very hot, as the Catwoman, or Kitka.
I always thought that was interesting that Lee Merriweather plays Catwoman in this, but I know in the show you also have
Eartha Kitt
and Julie Andrews.
Julie Newmar.
Julie Newmar. I'm sorry.
Right.
So in the show, I'm not 100% familiar. Do they explain the different Catwomen, or is it just assumed that they're the same character?
I don't think I should know this. I don't think so. Though I think that I don't even think that Eartha Kitt even did it that long. She may have had not even 1 or 2 episodes, maybe. But I don't think it was ever addressed. They just, she was just one that Catwoman showed up, and it was Eartha Kitt or whatever.
Yeah.
But Cesar Romero as the Joker, Burgess Meredith as the Penguin, Frank Gorshin as the Riddler, Alan Napier as Alfred Pennyworth, and Neil Hamilton as Commissioner Gordon.
Great.
That's it.
All right. Well, so we're going to get right into the plot. There was a lot that happened in this movie.
It shocked me about how dense it is. It's really dense. There's a lot going on.
It's a mile a minute. Honestly, this film is remarkable to me because I think it might be one of the only films that is so bad it's good on purpose.
Yep. Yeah.
It's not an accident that it's so bad it's good. It's like completely intentional. All of the camp is intentional.
Yes.
But that doesn't ruin it, which it does.
Because they play it, because everybody plays it totally straight. I mean, they sell it completely straight laced.
They know they want to make it kind of tongue in cheek, so they did that.
You
You can tell that every joke was planned. Nothing was. I mean, the things that were perhaps accidental. They were like, oh, that's accidentally awesome. So we're gonna
So we're just gonna leave that
Right.
in.
Yeah.
I never. It's funny when I remember because I'm a little older than you guys. I remember when Batman '89 came out. First of all, it's one of the things about Batman '89 that when you watch this and watch that, it is not as different as they make it seem. It's not that different. First, I mean, the Joker is almost the Joker with the volume turned up. It's almost the same character.
Yep. So
But it is dense. Yes.
It whines, and it's gonna be hard to get through.
Yeah, it's a lot. There's a lot to cover.
Oh god. But it's fun.
movie.
It's a good plot. Like Addie said, it goes a mile a minute, and it
Yeah.
keeps you on the edge of your seats.
Let's start talking about the plot.
Right.
All right. So
This is gonna be hard.
this movie starts with a classic Technicolor intro, and when I say that, I mean there's nothing but Technicolor.
Are you talking about the opening credits? Because the opening credits are really good, and I guess one of the selling points, and I looked this up on IMDb. One of the selling points of the film was it's in color. Like, and this is it's a movie. It's in color. Batman for the first time in color, and they really like in the opening credits. They really. It's dark screen and then green and there's really reds and yellows.
Every single shot has something as a subject that is being lit with a spotlight.
Yeah.
And every single shot that has that spotlight is one hard color. It is monochrome, but that color changes from shot to shot.
Yeah. And Batman's color, his color motif seems to be purple, which I thought was interesting. Because I was like, it's not again the black Batman. Is a new thing. That's not even really, and something I really wish they'd get away from too. With the all black.
Yeah.
Batman.
Of course, it was the '60s, so they wanted it to be
Oh yeah, of course,
as
yeah,
possible.
yeah. That's good.
All of the costumes are very colorful, and there's just color throughout every scene in the movie, and they just really accented that in the very beginning.
Yeah, the set
just
dressing
get you
good.
ready for it.
Yeah.
So one thing that's hilarious though is that there's this spotlight that's going around. It's basically chasing people through the credits.
Yes.
And it's got some kind of witty text also that displays as sort of an introduction. And then later we have a narrator. So there's all these different things thrown at you right at the beginning.
Before the credits roll, before the titles, they showed the spotlight on some text, and the text was like, "This film is dedicated to real life crime fighters and people that seek adventure." Blah blah blah. It was just a weird thing, and it was like, then it should and also any lovers that we've offended or something like that. And it was so odd. I don't even know what that was. It was
And also everybody else.
yeah, which is cool. They dedicated to cops and real crime fighter. I think that was a message there.
I guess that's what they were doing.
Yeah,
Unless they were implying that there were real, 1966 Batman type
superheroes.
people.
I don't know.
Not implausible.
Okay, but this actual open is showing a yacht, a boat, and the narrator on this yacht there is. I said Admiral or Commodore or such and such. He has a wild invention that's going to save the world. It doesn't say he's in danger. It just says, here is him in this boat. He's coming. And all of a sudden, Batman and Robin are running through the Batcave getting ready to go out and save him. But we're never even told that he was in danger. Right. We're just going.
So we don't see Batman and Robin getting any kind of communication about this man. Mm-mm. We just see them on their way. This character that they're trying to save is in danger, and that is pretty much.
He actually is like the MacGuffin that they're chasing the entire.
That's what the plot's all centered around. Is this man, this Commodore?
But it does show. So it goes to the mansion, and it shows the very classic, cool Batman. Them running into the room, lifting up the statue.
Yes.
Hitting the switch.
And you remember the statue?
Yes,
we watched this together, and Zach said something that was kind of funny.
It's like, how come they have to turn the switch on, wait for the door open, and then turn the switch off?
They basically say we have to go as quickly as we possibly can. He opens the head of the statue,
I think Shakespeare
pushes the button,
the door
and
to the
he
fire
holds it. He holds it for 20 seconds while the door opens. And later on in the film, not to jump ahead too far, but later on in the film, when he does the same action, he pushes the button and runs towards the door while it's opening.
So it's clearly just to show that the door can open on its own.
Yeah.
And back then, that was like, oh, technology.
Yeah, it's
like Star Trek. The doors open. You're like, oh my god, I love this shit. The doors open on their own.
It's almost like the filmmakers didn't have faith that we, the audience,
could pick up on that.
Would connect the switch with the door opening unless we really saw it happen.
But they did stand there and hold and wait. But it is very cool. It opens up, the bookcase lifts, and there are the legendary bat poles, which they jump on and they slide down. Going down, which is funny because now I watched this show as a kid. Whenever they would slide down, they would just appear in the Batcave.
Yeah.
In costume.
Yes.
Now, it never was explained, or they never took the bother to show you what happened between the time they got on the pole and the time they got down. I always assumed there was a changing room somewhere in the middle. Okay. They would stop and change. But no, there's a switch. They hit the switch. It says instant costume change. It literally says that. Instant costume change. And you flip it as he slides past it, he flips it. And like a second later, they pop out in the Batcave fully costumed, which I think is great, though it is totally not explained. It's just like, there's some magic in this movie, because it's like the instant costume change is not explained.
I always assumed as a child, due to the tone of the whole production of the show, I guess, that when they go down the pole as Bruce and Dick, what's actually happening between then and the shot that we see with them is a series of like automated arms, like robot arms,
like the
that
Iron
reach
Man?
out. Maybe there's one that just takes the tie off. One of them undoes the belt for him. One of them, removes his shoe and goes and hangs it.
Maybe that's what's happening.
Meanwhile, like other ones are coming up and like tying their cape on gingerly. It's the 60s, and we see in the next shot.
Yes, there
are teams of people working for Batman and Robin.
The deputized agents of the law.
There was some money that went into this, and they show it off right away. There is a Batmobile inside of a Bat cave. They enter the Batmobile and drive away. And where do they go?
To the airport.
To the airport. So right off the bat, it's like it feels like they're wasting time.
But they want to show you that Batman is, first of all, like, it's cool when they get to the Batcave. Everything is labeled, which we'll come back to that. But it's funny that everything's labeled. They get in the Batmobile, and I think it's actually cool. Actually, something I noted that they're sitting so they get in the car. They're sitting there, and Robin's like, he's going through a checklist. He's like, turbines good, engine good. We're good, ready to go. And Batman's like, okay, we're good. And he starts the car, and I'm like, it's so cool that they gave Robin a job. Yeah, he's not just the ward or the sidekick. He actually has a job. I think in the Batmobile.
He's like a lab assistant with him too, because he's always fiddling with the machines.
Yeah, he's
Robin experiments and that
kind of stuff. So the Batmobile goes to the airport where a team of people are waiting.
Prepped the Batcopter.
They're waiting for him to show up, and they have the Bat helicopter.
The Batcopter,
which looks great, by the way. Very cool design.
It looks cool, but like, who bought that?
And put the
Bat. Who pays for the fuel?
How did he get his
Wayne Enterprises
pilot's license?
Hey, Wayne Enterprises pays for everything.
And later on, we find out none of this is really necessarily a problem. And we'll get into that too.
And at this point, you start realizing not to think about this. Why didn't they just go to the Batboat first?
I don't know, because they needed the dramatic drop. Okay. The dramatic dropping. So they're in the helicopter. They're flying out to the yacht, which is apparently in danger. That's the Commodore's in danger with his magical MacGuffin thing that he's invented. So I guess the nefarious bad guys are after them. So they get out. The helicopter gets out above the yacht that's speeding through the water, and Batman's like, I'm gonna climb down to it. So he says to Robin, release the bat ladder. So Robin hits a button,
and it's clearly labeled with a giant label with like it's just 70-point font.
The ladder comes out, and at the bottom it's labeled Bat Ladder.
But don't forget, before that's ridiculous, of course. And at this point, you're just preparing yourself to just find out how ridiculous it's going to get.
Yeah.
But before that, there was something maybe even more ridiculous.
What's it?
The bat drift angle.
Right.
It's not even an object. It's a measurement.
He's like, what is the bat trajectory? The bat drift angle.
The bat drift angle, and then there was another bat something.
He did say a bat, some other bat.
Bat ladder was like the third thing.
Yeah. Because again, Robin has a job in the helicopter. He's keeping, he's keeping bearing. He's keeping course and speed. Yeah, he's course and speed is being done by the Boy Wonder.
So we have Robin the Navigator. So while they're in the bat helicopter on the way to the boat, a bunch of people wave at them and they wave back. They spend all this time waving at all the people that are waving at them. And they say something like, it makes them feel good to know that someone is doing
their job.
Up here doing their job.
Yeah. First of all,
being Batman is constantly referred to as a job.
The awesome part is actually when they fly, or as they're flying from the airport. It's actually a great shot of like a great wide.
Yeah.
It's actually really good in
that,
HD. It's a great wide shot of LA as they're flying. I guess it's Gotham, but I guess it's filmed in LA, obviously.
Right.
But they're flying and they fly over a building, and there must be like a group of like 15 girls in bikinis that are all waving at that, like, oh, Batman, it's Batman!
And they're on a roof with no pool.
Yeah, I don't know.
What are they doing?
I think, well, there was a guy there, so I guess it must have been like a photo shoot. Maybe it's
like a fitness.
Maybe it was Hugh Hefner. I don't know. I don't know.
They're going to the boat that is in trouble with the Commodore. They're on the bat helicopter. They deploy the bat ladder, and Batman goes down to see the boat.
And right as it gets to the boat to step onto it, it disappears
Completely.
And it vanishes. The boat vanishes.
It's not even a nice fade effect or anything. They just cut to a shot where it's not there. It's just a shot of water.
And then Batman is being shown being very carefully and slowly lowered into the water. It's like it's such a weird shot. He's lowered into the water.
It's very awkward.
It's really awkward. And then all of a sudden he's like, "Go back up! Go back up!" And so this is like one of the. It's like it's such a meme.
And
this is like,
then
and then
there's a shark attached to his leg.
There's a little. I say little. It's not even that big. It's a little rubber shark.
Yeah.
Attached to Batman's leg.
But he starts punching it, and it's making the sound of punching a rubber object.
It's so. And
it looks like the kind of thing that should squeak every time it's hit.
It didn't even. I guess the HD is not forgiving because it does not look real, like at all. Or it doesn't even look anywhere passable.
But what that means is that when it came out in theaters on pristine film on the silver screen, it looked just as bad. I guarantee it. That never looked good.
He's punching it. This shark is attached to his leg, and he's just punching it. Get off!
It goes back to being intentionally so bad it's good. Like it actually works.
But he's like selling it. It's like he's really in distress.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Adam West sells the role the whole time.
Absolutely.
They all do.
Committed. Yeah, he is absolutely committed.
There's no hesitation in anybody there except for maybe Cesar Romero, but we can get to that later.
Yeah. So he does call for. He says, "Robin, bring down the shark." He said, "What he said? The bat shark repellent."
Shark repellent. Which I thought maybe repelled shark bats or bat sharks.
But no.
But no, actually there were 4 different sprays they had.
in the back of the helicopter, all of a sudden it appears.
There was manta ray, barracuda, of course shark,
and whale.
Bat whale repellent.
Because whales, you never know.
And they're very clearly labeled. It does not say killer whale. It says whale. Whale repellent.
Everything is so nicely labeled. So Robin, he puts on the autopilot, and then he's on the ladder. He climbs down the ladder to Batman, who's still struggling for like a minute with this shark. He's just punching it, and he climbs down, and then Robin like
it's like a trapeze.
Yeah, he
harkening to a circus.
Yeah, he turns himself where he's hanging upside down to hand Batman. Shark repellent.
He's holding the ladder with his knees as he's leaning backwards, and he's still like it does a wide shot.
7 feet away. From him.
It does a wide shot. He's still like 7 feet away, so it is not very helpful. But he like drops the bat repellent or the bat shark repellent. I'm sorry. Batman like catches it, sprays it a little bit, and it works.
And the shark blew up. It exploded.
Love it.
It's glorious.
It's amazing.
The shark blew up. Oh, and that's
yes. Exploding sharks.
This movie's got everything. It's got exploding sharks. All right, so then it's over.
So that part's over. It's a hard transition to the press taking photos with their flashes.
The Batman press conference, which is absolutely just amazing when you think about it. The Batman and Robin are in the commissioner's office with the press in the daytime, and they're giving a press conference about the mission they were just on.
So, which was a failure, which was a total failure. Meanwhile, Batman is addressing every reporter by name and where they work, which means that this is a frequent occurrence. This happens every mission.
Yeah, and Batman's lying. He because the guy asked about the boat. He said, "Did the ship disappear?" No, the ship didn't disappear. Like Batman lied. He was like, "No, the ship didn't disappear."
It's a cover up. It goes all the way to the top, all the way to the bat top. Miss Kitka is the only reporter there that Batman doesn't recognize, and she asks Batman immediately to remove his mask.
Which is actually a good reporter.
Yeah. For the first thing that she asks him, it's pretty solid, but everybody just reacts like that's the biggest faux pas. You don't ask this guy to take off his mask.
They immediately start mansplaining to the female reporter.
He's a fully deputized agent of the law.
But he has...
So,
and it's funny because it's very meta because first of all, it's totally rational for a reporter to ask a masked vigilante, remove your mask, please, so I can take a picture of you, because you're obviously out here enforcing the law, which they all recoil like, oh my God, you can't do that. So.
This is where, the commentary on the Cold War starts here. Oh, yeah. Because she plays a Russian woman. Kitka is short for a
She's
long
very Russian, yes.
Russian name.
I am from Russia.
And obviously is supposed to be like kitty cat.
Because it's very, very obviously Catwoman.
Yeah, right. I mean, I had never seen it before last night, and I had no idea that Catwoman was in this movie. And when she came on, I was like, I bet that's Catwoman.
She's wearing a leopard print shawl and hat.
Yeah.
And the hat is this really over the top Russian style hat, I guess. They thought Russians wore.
She was very Russian. She was very Russian. I'm from Russia. I have a Russian news.
So Zac is actually married to an actual Russian woman.
Okay.
And
what did you think, Zac?
What I thought about her portrayal of a Russian woman was it was great. I mean, I think obviously the accent is overblown, but she really committed to that accent. And it's not really terrible, to be honest.
So the press conference ends, and Batman has a second to talk with Jim Gordon and the police chief, I guess. Also,
I never got his name. He's very Irish, though. He's a very Irish stereotypical.
Oh
cop.
Boy! Talk about over the top accents.
Very Irish cop.
They start talking to Batman and Robin, and they introduce to us, the audience, the villains of the film. For some reason, they do so by showing Batman and Robin a series of videos that are a couple seconds long each, and they're all in front of the same stylish curtain.
It's almost like they posed.
It's not a jail. I don't know where this video was taken.
It could have been Arkham Asylum, just really 60s.
But they all look so happy.
Like a waiting room or something. Yeah.
They all look so happy in these selfies they take to show it's going to be the Joker and the Riddler and Penguin, and they all give some kind of very punny, that. What did he say about that pugnacious penguin is? He's just they lay on the alliteration every time. With that conniving kitten herself, the Catwoman.
Because if they didn't do that, it wouldn't be like a comic.
Right. You are right. You are right.
I mean, it's not true, but it is what they thought.
But I think before that though, they did the deduction thing. They tried to figure out who could be behind this. Yeah. And they kind of started because I remember he said something like, well, what do we know about what happened? And it was like, well, it happened at sea, like Catwoman.
Yes.
And the shark was pulling my leg like a joke. He's like, the Joker. Yes. It's like, okay, all right.
So they figure out, based on what happened, through very, very tenuous connections, that
and again they totally sell it. They're totally straight. They're like, yes,
but they were right in the end, right?
Yeah, of course.
Right, and they are correct in this assumption. The plot that we just saw involved the Joker, the Riddler, the Penguin, and the Catwoman all at once. And basically, this is the first of many riddles or solutions to riddles in the film that make
one of them
no sense.
So there's 4 groups of riddles in the movie. The first 2 follow a similar trend. Mm-hmm. One of them makes perfect sense, and you probably could solve it. The other one was they were making fun of the fact that riddle made so much sense because this next one just made 0 sense whatsoever. It was like the first one was like, what does turkey that flies upside down do? And it gobbles up. And the second one is like, what sits in a tree is dangerous.
He said, what is 6 ounces lives in a tree is dangerous? And he goes, a sparrow with a machine gun.
It's like, what?
And then Batman goes, yes, that's the only thing it could be. Yes, that is exactly right. That is the only answer. I think that's when they go back to the back here. But yeah, that is. I wrote that down, like a sparrow with a machine gun.
Why not a mockingbird with a katana?
It's like making fun of the whole what is black and white and red all over, having like a million answers. These riddles could only have one answer, and Batman and Robin are the only people who can figure them out. Because as the audience, as regular people, we definitely could not.
That made no sense. But again, they sell it because you can tell, like, they know it's silly. Like, it's a sparrow with a machine gun. And he says, yes, that's the only thing it could be. Yes, Robin, that is correct.
Yeah, and Robin solves most of the riddles. I think it's Robin and not really.
And it's funny, too, because with Adam West just dying, all kinds of stories came out about, I think Burt Ward is interviewed and talked about, like, off the set. Like, it was like, they had girls and groupies, and it was just all they had to, like, it was hard to focus on work.
I've heard about that.
After
the press conference and after the police talk to Batman, Miss Kitka leaves, and we follow her for a while, and she goes into the most ridiculous bar that you would never want to visit, where there's constant bar fights, and people are talking to each other, I assume, but you can't hear them.
Right.
There's smoke everywhere. There's just a lot of
it's a pirate. It's like a pier side bar because it's right next to the water.
It is a 60s television version of the word sleaze, kind of spread out in an entire location.
But she enters and goes up the stairs to the hideout, and one of the henchmen, the mooks, is like, "Hello, Catwoman," and she smacks him
immediately.
She's like, "You idiot! Don't say my name in public." And I'm like, "Catwoman has got her act together in this whole movie." She's like, "Don't use my name in public, you dope.
Yeah.
I'm Catwoman. Don't give away my secret identity."
She sort of feels like the main character in this movie.
Yes.
Sort of.
Maybe, yeah.
She makes everything happen.
Yeah.
She's definitely, I would say she's the one villain that actually stands out from the pack.
Right.
Though they all try. They are all constantly, I'm reminded of the Joel Schumacher Batman and Robin? No, Batman Forever, where you have Jim Carrey and
Two-Face.
Tommy Lee Jones just yelling over top of each other for attention for the screen. This is the same way. You have Cesar Romero, Frank Gorshin, Lee Merriweather stays out of it a little bit, but she still has her own funny moments.
Every time she talks, they like, "Shut up, kitten.
Yeah.
You be quiet, you little feline."
And then Burgess Meredith and the three men of the villains are just raucous. They just yell over top of each other, and they're constantly
full on Goonies, basically.
It's really it's like the director pulled them aside and said, "Can you do a little more ham?"
They do.
It's not hammy enough. I need some ham in my sandwich.
But I think, well, the thing is, like,
Don't forget the cheese.
The three
of cheese.
The three of them are like, but they were actual like serious actors, like Burgess Meredith and Cesar Romero. They were like actual, actors, all of them stage trained, all of them. So I think it's one of those things where they were just having fun. Like, you just put them in the room together and they just like, go at it. Because the dialogue is very, it's very stage-like. The way they deliver the dialogue.
The whole production is very stage-like. All the way to the fighting.
Yeah.
Which we'll get to eventually.
But the way they enunciate their words, and they're very, the dialogue is actually very, very dense, and it's like really, it's rapid fire, and there are three very good actors. All of them have, I know Burgess Meredith is Oscar nominated for Rocky, I know.
Now we will go ahead and get into who is committed to their role. Cesar Romero, sorry, Dud.
I must
sorry,
ask
buddy.
myself whether he was.
I personally do not like Cesar Romero's performance as the Joker, not because of his actual performance, but because he keeps his mustache. And as a kid, that was so disturbing because he paints over it with the white.
Yeah.
It makes me think he's the type of guy who thinks if you don't have a mustache, you're not a real man.
Right, like a Tom Selleck or Burt Reynolds type guy. it's disturbing to children. I can say that firsthand because I was a kid and I was disturbed by this man's mustache with it painted white.
Painted white.
That doesn't cover the mustache. You can still see it.
And it's funny because his hair is the perfect green. Like it's like really
the
good.
Rest of the makeup is perfect.
Yeah.
Dead on.
Yeah.
I love it. It's
mustache
just
is
he
stubble,
should have
too.
shaved it. If he shaved the mustache, I would have been full on board with Joker in this movie.
Yeah, but they do. Everybody copies. Only, in fact, almost every this Joker is like kind of like the gangster thief guy, which is what Nicholson did, and which is what even Jared Leto did. Mm-hmm. But one thing you can say is that Heath Ledger's performance as the Joker was a total departure. Like the whole agent of chaos. I don't want to steal. I just want to kill. Like he didn't even I couldn't imagine this Joker burning a pile of money. Like I couldn't imagine him doing that. He's like, no, we can use this money to buy. The Penguin in this is actually the lead bad guy. It's very subtle, but he's like running the entire show. And
he has all the ideas.
And he's obviously financing it.
He's just as bad as Batman at naming things after his animal theme.
The motif,
everything is a penguin thing. He's got a penguin microphone and a penguin periscope and a penguin sub.
With the feet, it's got like the submarine has penguin feet.
Yeah,
but I do like when we go to their lair. I do like the Legion of supervillains. They have a big brand on the wall.
They have franchised.
With a squid on it, and it's like we're taking over the world or something. It's
not a single Hail Hydra in the whole thing.
They have their own bookshelves. And they're labeled. This is the Riddler's bookshelf.
Private. It says private.
This is the Joker's bookshelf.
And they
don't take his books.
They just trust each other not to mess with each other's bookshelves.
What kind of books do you think are on those bookshelves?
A lot of riddle books. I'm guessing.
I'm guessing 1001 jokes
that kill.
Word battle.
Jokes that kill.
So next they reveal their plot and they reveal what they're doing with the Commodore, right? Which. For some reason, I don't remember.
Well, it's so weird because I don't even know.
What is told to us is that the Commodore has been kidnapped. The Commodore is a millionaire. The Commodore has some sort of invention.
Yeah.
He wants to sneak out Yankee Gold from somewhere, and he's going to use the dehydrator to do that.
I thought he was like they were going to pay him.
Maybe from a river or something?
Somewhere.
I thought they were going to pay him. I thought the Yankees saying the Yankees will want my dehydration gun.
Right.
And they'll pay me lots of Yankee money.
Maybe.
I don't know. It's not really clear.
That part is not clear.
Yeah.
The whole thing with the Commodore is like, what? Why?
How and why he created this thing, which I guess is the dehydrator.
We're just going to go with that.
Is never told to us. We just know that this is the guy who did it.
And
even though he's very incompetent, obviously.
He's clearly dumb. And whatever he did to make this thing was probably easily replicatable if this is the guy who came up with it in the first place.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So let's see. We end up going from there to
the
see
Batcave.
Batman and Robin in the Batcave.
So while they're at the Batcave, they decide we need to go out and check out. So they decide to. The boat was an illusion. How would they project an illusion? Some kind of projector. Let's go find it. And so they and he's like, there's a buoy that's projecting stuff. But Batman's like, we have to find this. Our coordinates were, and he rattles off some numbers. And then he's like, Robin, check the Bat navigation computer to see where those coordinates are. So
and we find out that Robin is actually a cat.
Robin goes over to the computer and just randomly just taps things.
The Bat navigation system.
If you can't see that, he just wildly hammers his hands onto the keyboard, basically. If you can call it a keyboard. It's a series of lighting up of buttons that light up. They look like elevator buttons.
And he just
kind of pounds a bunch of them.
They were thinking, this is what it's going to look like in the future. I just know it.
And it doesn't. And there's no readout. There's no piece of paper doesn't come out. Nothing happened. He just goes, no, that wasn't. There's no buoy at those coordinates, Batman.
Right.
But their satellite photo shows them that there is a buoy there. So they're like, we got to go check it out. Back to the Batmobile. So they jump in the Batmobile, and now they get to the Batboat.
Now we get to see the Batboat.
The Batboat.
That probably would have been a better thing to do. One less step.
In the first scene, they might have actually gotten there in time in the first scene if they used the Batboat. So what they do is they drive to a different pier, not the same one where the villain's hideout is, but to one that is actually like not even sea level. It's like 30 feet up. So then they use a pole at the end of it that is basically the bat pole.
Because for some reason sliding down a pole is badass. I don't know.
I mean, that's why they put it in Ghostbusters.
Right.
It is fun.
So
When they slide down the pole and they jump into the bat boat, which is just sitting there open, not in a cool facility. It's just sitting
they're
there.
not even holding keys or anything, which means that the keys are just left in the ignition
Yeah.
of the bat boat, unless maybe boats in the 60s didn't need keys or something. I don't know.
Well, I guess it's Batman. It probably has a biometric scanner of some kind.
They
Only
literally
Batman
just
can use it.
they hop in. They don't even need to pull up an anchor or anything. They just go.
It is tied though. The boat is tied because
Yeah.
Robin unties it. He unties it from the dock and off they go. One thing is there is a pole that goes down from the pier to the boat.
Yes.
But there's also a slide that they didn't use. They took the slide there.
I did not notice
I
that.
caught the slide.
Oh man.
So they head out. So Batman and Robin in the Batboat very fast with the rocket motor on the back. They head out.
And flames painted on the side, which tells you that it's much faster than it looks.
Which is just
Thank
awesome.
you, Futurama.
Yeah.
So they go out to this buoy that was they think was projecting the boat's image. So they get out there, and Batman does actual detective work. They're like dusting for fingerprints on this thing. You're like, where there's no fingerprints on this thing. And he says,
there's salt water and corrosion. These are the enemies of the detective, and I'm like, yeah. That's actually true.
That's actually a thing a detective would say.
Whoa.
He's like, the enemy of detectives everywhere.
It's like they talk to detectives.
So
Of course they did. This movie's great.
So this buoy has this big metal panel that is on it that looks like it's screwed at all four corners and maybe even more like in between them. But no, it's actually just one screw that looks different from all the other ones. Batman takes that one screw off and pulls the whole side of the buoy off and throws it into the ocean.
And a big, film projector lens just pops out. And it pops out, and that was what's projecting. At the same time, I think the villains have now we gotta check out the buoy because I'm sure Batman's gonna go try to check out the buoy.
So we see the Penguin sub for the first time.
Yep.
And all four villains with some very strangely dressed pirates are the crew of the sub. And it is the role that Penguin was born to play. He is a submarine captain.
Yes. And he runs a tight ship too. He actually gives out solid navigation commands. But it's funny. The submarine, first of all, it looks like it. They show the submarine from the outside. It looks like a bathtub. It literally looks like it's in a fish tank or a bathtub or something. But it's a submarine, and instead of propellers or rotating screws like submarines have, it has two flippers.
Yes.
And the flippers move.
Which we find out later could only have been installed really recently.
Yeah, because we bought it Friday. But yes. Yeah, it has little flippers, and it has it's totally painted like a penguin, and the periscope is a little penguin head, and it's absolutely adorable.
So we see the villains inside the sub working together, and Riddler, I don't know if you guys noticed this, but Riddler earlier on in the first appearance had a suit with a suit jacket and everything, very Jim Carrey-ish. Mm-hmm. Riddler on the sub, though, has like a sweatsuit that he wears for pretty much the rest of the movie, with a big sash in the middle of his chest, and a purple mask. But he lifts the purple mask every time he talks to someone. As though it's in the way. He didn't even wear the mask earlier.
It's messing with his emote. He can't emote to them.
Yeah, so now he has to wear it, but he doesn't want to.
And you do want to wear coveralls on a sub. That's what you wear.
Oh,
yeah, but they decide so they see Batman and Robin on the buoy through the periscope.
Yes.
So they said they're going to try to kill them. But no, first they activate
the magnet.
The magnet. Yes. He's like, activate Robin. The Penguin's like, activate the magnet. So the buoy becomes a magnet, and it sticks Batman and Robin to the buoy
by their backs.
By their utility belts.
Right. So something on the back of their utility belt is either metal or magnetic anyway.
And it makes you wonder how they got the belts on. Are they stretchy? If so, why don't you just get out of the belt?
Take the belt off.
Is there a buckle?
There are buckles on the front. We see them. Buckle. So luckily for them, Penguin takes his whole penguin animal shtick just as seriously as Batman does. So they not only see the periscope, but the periscope is literally a penguin doll
It's a penguin head.
floating in the water, so they know exactly who is looking at them and what's going on immediately.
So at that point, the penguin says, "Kill him! Launch torpedoes!" And they fire torpedoes at this buoy that Batman and Robin are stuck to. Batman sees the torpedoes coming and is like, "I have to try to save their lives." He's like, "Let me get to my communicator," and he pulls out his bat communicator. And he's like, "I'm gonna turn it up. I'm gonna reverse the polarity and turn it up, send out waves of energy." So he turns up his walkie-talkie and hear this high-pitched sound. Woo! Next thing you know, boom! The torpedo explodes.
And this is a real moment where, if it was in the show, we would hear the narrator come up and say something like, "Is that the end for our dynamic duo?
Will Batman be able to get him off the buoy?
Find out next week. Same bat time."
Same bat channel.
Exactly.
Yeah, you can totally tell that's where an episode began. And then they show the bad guys in the submarine like, "Haha, we got them. They're dead. We've killed Batman and Robin. And we don't know what happened." But then, like, the very next thing they show is Batman and Robin back in the boat. They're back in the bat boat. They're speeding away.
And they're totally fine.
They're totally fine.
Whatever happened completely off screen and is announced by Adam West.
Can you guess what it is?
They cannot, because there's no it's like getting the answer to one of these riddles. Zach, what saved them?
A bat porpoise. It was a porpoise.
Can you please explain with a little bit more clarity?
It was a brave porpoise who sacrificed his life to service Batman and Robin.
And then Robin's like, "Wow, Batman, we sure are lucky that porpoise threw himself in front of the torpedo to save us at the last
He
minute."
hurled himself into the torpedo.
And then Batman gives a eulogy. He's like, "Yes, that brave, noble creature sacrificed himself to save us."
At this point, you know all the camp and all the cheese is on porpoise.
Glad we set you up for that one. That was
Thank
awesome.
you.
I thought about that for a while.
Well, I'm glad we finally got to it. So,
Finally, right?
Yeah.
We've been
The
talking
porpoise
about.
ex machina.
We're like 15 minutes into the movie.
But it's funny. But
We're
after
an hour into this show.
but after that, it's funny. They actually don't chase the penguin. They go back to the dock. Batman calls the Navy. He literally calls the Pentagon.
This is the funniest part.
They go to the Pentagon.
Second funniest part in the whole
Yeah,
movie.
they call the Pentagon. I guess the Secretary of the Navy, and it's in his office. And they show like Department of the Navy.
Yeah.
They show this, and I guess they show this admiral with a woman. They're playing tiddlywinks, which I guess is like a wink wink inside. Like we one past the radar joke. He's playing tiddlywinks with his secretary. She answers, and she's like, "Hello, Navy Department." And the Batman goes, "Hello, this is Batman. May I speak to the Admiral, please?" And she's like, "Okay." She's like, "Admiral."
Okay, Batman.
It's Admiral. It's the Batman. And he's like, "Hello, Batman." So Batman asked him, "Have you guys recently sold a surplus submarine to someone?" And he was like, "Yes, we sold it to somebody, a man calling himself P.N. Gwyn." He said P.N. Gwyn.
Batman is just like, "P.N. Gwyn.
Penguin.
Did you happen to get a full address of this purchaser? Of your buyer?
And the guy's like, "No, we just got a P.O. box." I was like,
Do
wow.
you want it?" So Batman goes, "No." And the guy from the Navy, the Admiral or whoever, says, "Oh, I hope I haven't done something foolish."
He says, "Batman, your tone sounds angry." And Batman's like,
done
"Well,
something wrong? Selling submarines to a person without getting their address.
to P.N. Gwyn."
I say good day.
So Batman
He hangs
calls
up
the
on him.
Pentagon and chastises them for selling without a proper address.
Yeah.
And
That's
that
the
goes
best.
back to,
And then they're back.
local police are good. Federal government,
They're
bad.
idiots. Or morons. But yeah, this time, now they're back on the dock, and Batman's like, yes, they sold him a submarine. And then the Riddler decides to launch a Polaris missile. A literal intercontinental ballistic missile comes out of the ocean up into the sky, and it blows up and creates a riddle for them to see.
So there's an explosion which leads to skywriting. which that's not how skywriting is
It
made.
explodes in the text. And very nice, big block text also. It's actually very helpful.
So this is what Zach was talking about, with the first riddle being pretty obvious, and then the second one just being like
Ridiculous.
really crazy.
So I don't even remember what the riddles were. I remember the answers.
Yeah. So we see the villains again in their hideout, and here's where we get a staple for the show. It's almost another character. It is the Dutch angle. So the Dutch angle is used in films sometimes to make the audience member feel like they're uneasy. It is when the camera is tilted at an angle that is not straight on and not perpendicular to the ground. So it's actually at a diagonal slant. They do this a lot when they film the villains in the show, probably because the villains themselves and their portrayals don't really lend themselves to being uneasy or scary.
Yeah.
And they're actually just kind of entertaining. So they do this thing to let you know, oh, these are actually the ones who are the bad guys. So yeah, this is the first time we see it, and the Dutch angles don't seem to be very well thought out. Like the cinematography throughout this movie is pretty.
It's all over the place.
Yeah,
There's a lot of close-ups of their faces.
There's a
whole
spectrum of quality.
Yeah.
And the Dutch angles seem to not
Yeah.
really be very well thought out. It's kind of like someone just said, tilt it a little bit. Yeah, that's good enough.
Yeah, but there's a lot of close-ups on their heads. I mean, there's one part early on when Batman and Robin are with the Commissioner and the other guy, and they're all like in a circle talking, and it zooms in where it's like just their heads,
Yeah.
and it's like it's really and it's all four of them. It's just a weird shot,
Yeah.
and there's a lot of close-ups to them, to the actors when they're talking or whatever.
It feels very much at times like it is a stage play that's being filmed.
Yeah,
Where they didn't have the luxury of having different camera angles and close-ups and extra takes, and maybe they were just working with something like working with what they had.
Yeah, I get that.
So
is this the point? I think the villains at this point come up with a plan because their plan is they're going to do something with the UN, but they know they need to get Batman out of the equation. Also, the UN in the United World is in Gotham, which probably makes Gotham New York, which goes back to our thing, whereas Gotham versus where's Metropolis.
Right. Right.
Gotham is probably New York. But yeah, they decide they need to get Batman out of the way. They're like, we need to get Batman out of the picture, so we won't mess with our plan. We need to kidnap somebody important. So they decide to kidnap Bruce Wayne because they think, well, if we kidnap Bruce Wayne, Batman will show up to save him, and then we can get rid of him.
right, because the Commodore is not the only well-known millionaire in Gotham.
Yes.
Right now, there is Bruce Wayne, and they decide if they kidnap Bruce Wayne, that will be a pretty good way to lure Batman to them.
Lure Batman out.
And for some reason, I didn't think that would work.
Yeah.
I'm not sure why I thought that.
It's very Shakespearean though, with the whole like mistaken identity stuff. I love it.
Yeah. And that goes back to the theater again.
Yep.
But Batman ends up arranging a date with Miss Kitka.
So Catwoman comes up with the plan.
And the scenes
Again,
the transitions between the scenes here are suddenly get like really, really good. They're very artsy.
Yeah.
And it cuts very gracefully from one scene to another at this point. Similar to how they did the hard cut to the press earlier in the film. Right. Scene transitions in this seem to almost have more thought put into them than the actual shots from the scenes.
Yeah. But it does. But it's funny because it's one of the. I think they call it the Gilligan cut, because they decide that they're going to need to kidnap Bruce Wayne, and then Miss Catwoman was like, "Well, I know how to get Bruce Wayne. I can send." I can go as, and it cuts, and then like they show Adam West in his Bruce Wayne persona going, Miss Kitka, hello,
right.
And then she comes to the screen. He's like, I know you want to interview me.
So at this point, Bruce Wayne does not know that Miss Kitka is Catwoman.
No, he does not.
He's not the world's
That's
greatest
where his detective senses fail him.
Yeah.
And he's really into Miss Kitka too. He's really into her.
Yeah.
And part of it was he thinks they're going to try to kidnap her, right?
I think so. Yeah.
So he's trying to protect her, or really, we find out that they're going to try to force their hand.
Yeah.
The villain's hand, because they really think that the next thing they're going to do is kidnap her, and so he wants to be there for that.
Yeah.
Right.
So he arranges for Robin and Alfred, who gets some action, to follow him in the Batmobile, and it's very weird because I make sure to ask, like, they're in the Batcave and he calls down Alfred. I was like, "How can I help you, sir?" And he's like, "I need you to follow me in the Batmobile. Do you have your license? You have your driver's license?" And Alfred's like, "Right here in my pocket, sir."
man.
Because Robin's only 14, he can't drive.
Yeah.
So he has to drive the Batmobile, but it's so great because Alfred puts on a little mask.
He puts on a Robin Domino mask.
And as he's driving around in the Batmobile, even though everybody was looking at Batman and Robin driving around, nobody cares that Alfred was driving.
This old man is driving.
Nobody cares.
They don't even
cares
give
about
him a
Robin?
second look.
Nope. But this date goes on for a long time, much like this podcast.
And Adam West being charming is very creepy.
Yes.
Just had to say it.
Because he does this breathless, Miss Kitka, we will go and experience things together. And
The thing that creeped me out is he used the word climax.
There's a lot of innuendo, but
I'm not sure
Yeah,
that
there
meant
is a
what
lot.
it meant back then.
Yeah. No, I mean,
like
I'm
something
sure of
that-
what it meant. This movie was too planned out to accidentally say climax in a
because
scene
she
with
does
him.
actually, because they're talking, and he's like, "Tell me your dream." She's like, "Tell me your dream," and she's like, "Slow down, darling, make it last."
Yeah.
Because she's trying to communicate.
And she's basically like purring at him, and he still
She
doesn't
actually
realize.
says like, "That would be perfect."
Yeah, with the rolling R.
Yeah,
Perfect.
For like the 30th time, by the way, at that point in the movie. She said the word perfect.
It is.
So while Batman and Miss Kitka, Catwoman as Miss Kitka are on their date, she has distracted him and told him to close his eyes, which is kind of creepy. But then she pulls out a cat-shaped Morse code transmitter. It can't just be a Morse code transmitter.
It's got to be
And
cat
it can't just be
cat
something
eyes.
where she just taps it once and hits one button and it sends a signal. No, she has to literally type out Morse code to the bad guys.
And they're all sitting around, around in a transmitter.
What is
So
she
she's-
saying in that, by the way?
She's using her transmitter to tell
it's
the
working.
bad guys that it's working and that
He's being
Bruce Wayne
creepy.
is falling right into her lures.
And they should come get him because they use that like, "We gotta go get
Right.
him." But at the same time,
So they're getting her cat transmission from their penguin receiver, right?
It's a lot of animals.
So it's an animal-to-animal communication, intercepted or sent and intercepted by people. Real weird.
What?
All right. So then we they show up to get Bruce, and then we have a big fight scene with Bruce Wayne.
yes, which is actually really well choreographed. It's actually a pretty good fight. Bruce Wayne is fighting
Yeah.
these kidnappers because they burst in
Yeah.
while him and Miss Kitka are about to get it on in her very nice apartment. They burst in and he actually fights them, but of course he's overwhelmed. But I think so. Bruce Wayne is captured, and this is like there's a weird moment here because they capture the two of them, and Bruce is being held, and he's like, "If you hurt one hair on your head, I'll kill all of you." It's like,
Yeah,
whoa.
and you're like, wow. All right. Nobody would think that's Batman.
Right.
Nobody would think that's Batman.
Batman
true.
doesn't kill.
And what's kind of interesting, what I pointed out
Didn't
while we were
kill.
watching it last night was that fight with Bruce Wayne and the bad guys.
Mm-hmm.
No alliterative text shows up on screen,
In the first
which is
fight.
something that the show is known for. So now Bruce Wayne is captured with Miss Kitka.
And then Catwoman says, "Take him down the labyrinthine path to room 113." And we find out later that the room is connected right to that room.
It's literally
There's no path to the room.
there's no
Go
path.
into the room.
They walk in circles or something maybe,
Right.
or maybe they don't even do that. But they just open a door and there's the room.
But she just walks in there ahead of them, takes off her clothes, and gets in the bed.
Yeah. Yeah, so they're walking around in circles while she's, getting all dressed up.
So
Yeah.
she like ties herself up in there or something, or maybe she gets a pirate to help her. And these pirates do not like Catwoman.
She makes cat sounds.
She makes
And they look at her.
It's like moaning
they're like,
noises.
What the heck is she doing? They're so weirded out by her.
It's like these moaning noises or like purring. They don't seem to be context sensitive, and by that I mean she's not really doing it for a plot specific reason. She just kind of does it when there's nothing to say, and then the pirates they give her these like it's like a slow
the
head
funniest
turn.
moment in the movie was when they were flying away after kidnapping Kitka and Was it after kidnapping Kitka and Bruce Wayne?
Oh, because they fly in to capture them.
Oh my God! We skipped over the umbrellas.
The flying umbrellas.
Flying umbrellas.
God.
Yeah.
Of course, provided by Penguin. But that's how they get to their lair. Is they fly away with
They fly to
Bruce
pick
Wayne
up.
and Kitka, and that's when she makes the sound.
And then Bruce Wayne escapes. He fights his way out. Fights his way out of there, beating all the mooks.
After one of the
Not only the pirate mooks, but he also beats the actual
the bad guys, the Penguin, the Joker, he beats
the
them all
name
up.
brand villains.
Yeah, none of them. and
Jumps out the window that was broken by one of the mooks after he jumped on the trampoline thing. And flew out the window.
Yeah, they had created an elaborate death trap where they thought Batman would step on this panel in their hideout. The panel would lift up and eject him out a window into a piece of the ocean where the Penguin had an explosive octopus. No, it was an explosive octopus.
Oh wow, I missed that completely.
Yeah, that was the thing. But some mook ends up stepping on it, and it throws him out, and he blows up and dies.
But not before becoming a mannequin.
Yes, a flying mannequin.
But so at this point, Batman escapes.
Well,
Bruce Wayne
yeah.
escapes the bad guy's lair. He takes a cab back to Wayne Manor, I guess.
Frankly, they should be embarrassed.
The bad guys are awful. But he gets a cab back. He goes to Wayne Manor. The commissioner's there, and he's like, "Oh my God, Bruce Wayne, you're like free." He's like, "Why don't you tell me where they're at?" And he's like, "No, Commissioner, I'm okay." He tells Robin, "We have that thing we got to get to. Let's go get dressed. We have an event to go to." And I'm like, "You've been kidnapped." And he tells the commissioner, "You should go back to headquarters. Batman said he might call you."
So Joker roofies the Commodore. No idea why they need to do this.
Huge
I don't
wafer, like a communion wafer.
Yeah.
But I said, this movie's really dense. There's like so many things that happen. It's like we're like an hour and a half into this. We're still like you know trying to get to.
Okay, this is the part where the villains decide to use their dehydrator for the first time.
Yes, they're gonna sneak. Their mission is they're gonna sneak into the Batcave somehow.
Yes.
So with the Commodore, so they use the dehydration gun. They take 5 bad guys and zap them with it, and it turns them into dust.
Yep.
Yeah, and then they start spilling the dust everywhere.
Penguin goes, "Be careful. They all have mothers."
Yeah, he says, "Be careful."
Like, now you're concerned about somebody's life.
After reducing them to dust and then spilling them all over the place.
Well, no. I think they were just in things, and like they were.
Yeah, but when they do it, like the actors are not very.
Oh, right.
It's visually very messy. Like these are not janitors. For example.
It's hard to pick up dust anyway.
They rehydrate. I don't have a collarbone.
Yeah, so he goes back to where he escaped from as Batman to save Miss Kitka. When he gets there to this bar, Robin's like, "How can these people?" Like he goes to the bar, like, "How can these people not notice these supervillains among them?" Batman's like, "Well, you know, they're some people, they're used to the unusual things. They probably just think it's alcoholic delusions." And this is where Robin's like, "Alcohol! I can never drink something that takes away that makes me not be able to focus or notice things around me."
Right. So Batman and Robin hate drinkers. Basically.
Drinkers of alcohol.
Batman tempers it a a little bit.
Yeah.
He's like, they're still living.
But Robin being
they may be salvaged.
Yeah, they may be salvaged, right? Which is, very mature. And I love that.
But it's funny that Robin has a visceral reaction to drinking and alcohol. He's like, "Oh God, who could do that?" Because he's supposed to be a kid. He's the kid stand-in.
Great how they show how Batman is teaching Robin
always a teachable
the ways
moment,
of morality, and teaching us, of course.
His ward.
And they do the first wall walking gag, which where
when they go in,
they throw the batarangs up over the roof of the shack. I mean, it's literally like a shack the size of like a regular sized house.
Yeah.
But they throw the batarangs up there, and they start pulling themselves up ever so slowly, and they're talking while they're doing it.
Yep.
And I remember as a kid never noticing they're just literally just walking. They're just crouched and walking slowly, pulling themselves up.
So yeah, we just watch them walk. But
it looks like they're climbing up the side of a building.
Does it?
It does. When I was a kid,
there are strings pulling their capes up to simulate gravity, and you can see the strings.
But they go up to the thing. So they go up. They sneak around to the building, and they find the bomb. which is a big globe
with a bomb
with a bomb with a fuse hanging out of it you can't see, but it's just sparking and all that. So Batman selflessly says, "Robin, run away!" He says, "Robin, defend you. Just get away, Robin." And he picks up the bomb and he carries it through the bar.
Runs is not the right term. Batman flails wildly while holding
the bomb.
This circular, cartoonish prop bomb over his head, and it's clearly got a road flare shoved in it, and that's the quote unquote fuse. So he runs out of the room into the bar. He tells everybody in the bar to leave.
He's like, "Run for your lives!"
And he just runs outside, and you hear some people still screaming as they're running away. And we see Batman run into a series of obstacles in his attempt to rid himself of this explosive device. So first we see the band.
It's a little marching band.
And then he turns around and he runs a different direction and runs into the nuns. Turns around and runs into the baby.
The woman with a baby.
Woman with the baby carriage.
Who are all not even bothered by this man in a costume.
Not even
running around with a bomb. They don't even notice. Nobody runs away. They're just walking leisurely and all converging on the same spot.
Some people are running away, but not the obstacle.
Right. I suspect all the people that are actually running away were in the bar.
Everybody else is just walking.
So then he decides to run over towards the pier one more time to try it. But there's some baby ducks.
The woman with her child too was one more time, but that's here nor there. She was twice.
So then we get a close up of Batman's face and the famous line, Anton.
Sometimes you just can't get rid of a bomb.
Some days you just can't get rid of a bomb.
And then they show him run. He runs like into the camera almost.
Yes.
And he disappears, and then explosion.
We hear
Boom.
the explosion.
You hear the explosion.
We don't see what happened.
Yeah, we don't see it.
And then what we see is a shot of the pier we see it from behind a pile of metal. And Robin approaches the pile of metal.
Yeah, after running through the crowd. He ran all the way through down the pier.
He's running towards the camera, and he approaches this pile of metal. And we're thinking, where's Batman?
And he's like,
well, we find out. Because Batman stands up from the other side of the pile of metal.
It's so great.
Which Robin would have seen while approaching.
It's so great because Robin walks up and he's very distressed. He's like, "Batman, are you there? Batman!" And then, like, Batman literally stands up like 3 feet away from him. Just stands up
right next to him.
Very much like a stage production.
It's just like, "Hello, Robin. I'm right here. I'm fine."
Luckily, I was able to shield myself with these steel pipes.
You tested them. They're sturdy.
That's sturdy.
Yeah, would have worked.
Yeah.
Penguin arrives, dressed as the Commodore. Batman and Robin immediately call him out as the Penguin, but he still tries to play it off like he's the Commodore.
Mm-hmm.
So
they're like, "We're going to fingerprint you." It's like, "Oh, I have no fingerprints. I burnt them off."
And now I have plastic-tipped fingers.
Even though he's wearing gloves. I think he's literally wearing gloves in the scene. It's like, and he says, "But there's one thing you cannot fool." And he's like, "Retinal." And the Penguin answers, "You mean retinal scanning?" And he's like, "Yes." And the Penguin goes, "Don't you have a retinal scanner back at your wonderful Bat Cave?" And he's like, "Yes, we do."
The answer is yes. So they roofie Penguin and take him back to their secret hideout. Great idea, right? He is fascinated by the Bat Cave.
Over there.
He asks for some water, and they tell him very plainly, "Well, go get it yourself."
There's a water, the water dispenser, the Bat water dispenser is
clearly
there. It's clearly
why
labeled.
Everything's labeled.
So he goes over. So the Penguin, while I guess they're Batman and Robin are preparing the retinal scanner, the Penguin goes over to the Bat water dispenser. And very comically pulls 4 tubes out of his pants.
A lot of tubes.
A lot of tubes.
There's some test tubes connected to some plastic tubing
out of his pants, and he's very consciously like stalling while he unloads them and unravels them.
He attaches it first to the water faucet, and then it comes out like a clown scarf, just never ending seemingly.
And he's like, "Yes, Batman, you will never catch me."
And it's all conveniently covered by the
sign.
Yeah, by the clear labeling
can't
of
see what he's doing.
The
the water dispenser.
They can't see. So, but during this time, his while he's pulling out this comically long tubing with the test tubes, with the water, with the goons in it, he accidentally pulls a lever on the bat water dispenser from light water, which you can drink, to heavy water, which I guess is some kind of nuclear thing. So he flips over to heavy water, accidentally now filling his goons with heavy water. He turns the water on. The goons immediately inflate.
We should mention what's in the test tubes are the dehydrated pirates from earlier.
Yeah, the goons.
They are dust, and each of them is a different Technicolor color of dust.
But he turns it on and they appear. He turns the water on and each one, and that's a fully formed man. So now he has 5 goons.
And the special effect is really strange because when they appear, it's very obviously just this 2D collage sort of cutout. They cut out the cells, the characters from the thing, and I don't know. They paste them in, but the important thing is now Batman and Robin murder some people.
So they send them to another universe.
Yeah, the now newly hydrated goons, they start fighting Batman and Robin, but every time they're touched or punched, they disappear.
They pop out of existence.
They pop out of existence because
their molecular structure is now innately unstable.
Yes, because they're with heavy water. He said the heavy water we use for the reactor, because in this Batcave there is literally a nuclear reactor. So
what's it for? Who knows?
The power of the bat stuff.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Batman kills one with a punch. Robin kills one with a punch. I believe Penguin kills one.
He whacks him. He's like, what are you doing?
Because he's angry that the pirate isn't doing his job better.
And 2 of them run into each other.
2 of them kill themselves in a murder-suicide pact.
Yeah. And then, and Batman and Robin are actually sad about this. They're actually like, they're actually sad they killed these people.
Robin realizes, wait, what just happened to those guys? Batman's like, well, we freaking killed them.
And it's very sad. And it goes on for like a minute. He's like, well, every life is he says something along the line, like gives them a eulogy.
Robin insists on clarifying, wait, so they're not coming back. Batman says, not in this universe.
Now, the Penguin has outed himself fully at this point.
Yes. But he's still in the Batcave.
So that all the bad goons are dead. Batman all of a sudden look at the Penguin and they're like, okay, Commodore, we believe you. And even the Penguin's like, huh? And he's like, obviously you were hypnotized into thinking that you were a bad guy, so we're just gonna take you home now.
Yeah.
So they give him the roofie gas. He falls out. They put him in back in the Batmobile and they drive out. And then they fake a breakdown of the Batmobile. The Batmobile stops, pulls over, and Batman's like, hold on, sir, we'll have to fix the Batmobile really quick. So they both get out. The Penguin at that time says, I'm going to steal the Batmobile. So he uses his gas and knocks out Batman and Robin and drives away with the Batmobile.
Yeah.
And then Batman springs up. He's like, that was all part of my plan. So they jump on vehicle number 3, the Batcycle.
Which is conveniently parked right there.
Which is hidden literally 2 feet away from where they pulled over.
Here's the thing, though. What do they use to catch up with the Batmobile? I know we just said they get in the Batcycle.
Yeah.
But that's not what they use. What do they do with the Batcycle? They drive to the airport.
Yeah.
And take the Bat helicopter.
Right.
No, but the best part about that is the Batcycle, first of all, they don't have helmets. But they get on the Batcycle, and Robin is sitting in a sidecar, and it's like really dangerous looking. He's like, it turns out it's a go-kart. Like they arrive at the airport, and Batman says deploy the go-kart. So they're like 10 feet from the Batcopter, which is helpfully warmed up, and Robin jumps his little go-kart. He drives to his side.
And it looks like it's not gonna stop.
So they track the Batmobile because they can track it. And then they jump in the helicopter. Now they're flying over the city, and they try to find the submarine. And then at this point, they launch another Polaris missile to write a message, but the missile grazes the Batcopter, throwing them out of control. And now our heroes are in danger. And this is your episode break.
Right.
And then the helicopter's going. It's all it's gonna crash.
Yeah. So the helicopter does crash.
They end up in a wholesale rubber
crude rubber
Crude rubber mats or something.
factory.
No, it's a convention. It was the National Rubber Wholesalers Convention. So inside this convention hall, there's a big pile of foam rubber, which the Batcopter crashes onto. Conveniently crashes onto, sparing their lives.
And this pile of crude rubber is actually clearly labeled, just like all of Batman's stuff.
Yes, it says big pile of foam rubber.
Almost like they landed there on purpose.
It's bat rubber.
Ooh, nice. So at the same time, so just to recap,
That's not the only bat rubber.
so at the same time, the villains have decided they're going to use the dehydration gun to attack the UN.
Yes.
Or the United World. So they...
Well, the riddles are getting worse. This is the point where we get to the ballpoint banana riddle and the...
This is the egg and applesauce riddle. Right?
Oh, yeah.
Right, yeah. They deduce it means that the bad guys are going to attack the United Nations. So the bad guys, at the time, they break into the UN with a dehydration gun, go to the UN Security Council meeting, where there are a group of world leaders.
Yes.
Including Nigeria, which is weird.
And they're all, it's 9 of them, and they are all very stereotypical, and they all only speak their languages, and there are no translators allowed in the room.
It's just 9 diplomats sitting around a room.
Yelling at each other.
Going
full Goonies.
Yeah, which I guess is a metaphor for what the UN actually does and how world peace will never be achieved because everybody's arguing with each other in their own language.
And at first it seems like maybe this is just a gag or something, but no, this is actually plot relevant. We'll find out why a little bit later.
Yeah.
So first Penguin comes in, and he looks like a weirdo, and he tries to go past a sign that says no admittance, and the security guard just is like, "Hey,
where do you think you're going?
What are you doing?" And so Penguin takes his gaseous umbrella and tries to gas the man. But what happens instead, visually, is all of the gas goes in Penguin's face, and none of it gets in the man's face.
Zero.
But he passes out anyway, and Penguin doesn't. Because plot.
And it was all one shot, right? This scene.
Yeah. He takes. I like it. Very cool.
Yeah,
it's actually pretty cool.
No cuts.
Yeah, it's actually pretty cool. He takes his there are a bunch of guards are in the hallway. He takes the umbrella and he like opens it and spins it, and it spins down the hallway with the gas coming out and knocks him out.
It flies out of his hand.
Yeah, it's actually pretty cool.
And there's a slapstick moment where 2 of the security guards who are standing opposite each other actually fall, and both of their heads land on the other's shoulder, so they are still standing even though they're both unconscious.
So they break into the UN Security Council room, and the Joker, using the dehydration gun,
murders everyone.
He vaporizes all of them and turns them all to dust. But the weird part is they don't stop talking. Like there's 9 people yelling at each other. He zaps like Nigeria. Nobody notices. They all keep going, and he ends up zapping everybody in the room, and they never stop yelling at each other or even notice him.
The world leaders are comically oblivious
Yeah.
to not only their surroundings but also to each other.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. But I do want to notice one thing. So this I thought this was interesting, just being a political nerd. Mm-hmm. In the Security Council thing, there's Nigeria, which in 1966 is not even is like a third world country, but it is like the one. I guess it needed an African nation, so they said Nigeria. But Japan is there, West Germany's there, Russia's there, of course, in Britain
as the USSR.
Yeah, USSR, UK, USA. China is not there. But Israel is there,
and
which I noticed.
Japan is there.
Japan is there, but no China. There's no China. It's almost
like the people in Hollywood thought, oh, well, one Asian country's in there.
Yeah, but remember that China is a permanent member of the Security Council, has been since it was founded. But China's not on there. I thought it was funny. But Israel is there, and Israel has never been on the World Security Council. They're not allowed to be, I don't think. But anyway.
All 9 leaders are dehydrated and disintegrated into dust.
Yes.
And then Batman shows up.
Yeah, Batman and Robin, who have run from the crashed Batcopter all the way, through Midtown.
You know what would have been helpful?
Yeah.
Is if they had some sort of a bat motorcycle.
Or a bat car of some kind?
Yeah. Adam West, Batman, and Burt Ward Robin, They get to the security council, but they find out that nobody's there.
Yeah,
The
they've all been
villains are
kidnapped.
gone.
The villains have kidnapped them.
So they go ahead and they leave the building, and it's now time for the long submarine chase at the end. This is the big action set piece for the end, and we're finally at the end of the plot, basically. So this is the part for me that dragged a little bit, because there's a lot of fighting, and the fighting is very stagey. Nobody really feels like they're in danger. The stakes don't really feel like they're very high, and it doesn't seem like anybody's really trying to hurt anybody. Even with the stuntmen that are really obviously not the actual actors playing the villains.
Especially Riddler's stuntman. Oh my God, he looks terrible.
So,
but it does have a cool thing where they get back in the Batboat for the fourth time in the movie.
Yeah.
They ride out to the ocean chasing the bad guys in their submarine Penguin, and they use some kind of ray gun. Kind of an impressive effect.
Yeah.
They shoot down into the water and blast the submarine 10 times. It goes on forever. They go in a circle, which is actually kind of cool, and they're blasting the submarine, which is also cool, but it goes on for 5 minutes. And finally, the villains are being thrown around, and and the ship surfaces, and then there's the fight. Batman and Robin jump off their boat, the Batboat, onto the submarine, and they beat all the bad guys down. They have a big battle with all the bad guys.
It's a pretty long fist fight.
It is really long.
And that's all it is a fist fight. And this is the part where we get the alliterative words that pop up. So basically at the end, everybody ends up getting wet. A lot of the people end up throwing themselves off of the sub into the water. And
if you'll notice...
Catwoman doesn't get wet, though.
Yeah, she does not get wet. Well, obviously they're not getting... Catwoman, she throws the cat at him. She just tosses him the cat, and he fights it off, and he puts it in the raft. And know what he says? He says, bon voyage, pussy. He literally says that. He says, bon voyage, pussy, and he pushes the little boat away. That's the craziest damn thing in the world.
She comes out at the end of the fight. She sees the cat on the raft and decides not to jump in to get the cat because she'll get wet.
Yeah, but he chases her into the ship, and she falls, and her mask comes off.
And when she falls, it looks intentional.
Yeah.
It doesn't look like it was an accident.
And she reveals herself as Miss Kitka, and Batman is devastated.
So it's a slow
heartbroken.
zoom on his face with a close up, and he might as well have tears coming out from under the bat suit. What we hear what's going on in his head, and this man is psychotic.
He's so sad.
He's going back over poetry that he had told her, and
the music, the music that was playing.
The foreign cover of the Elvis Presley song starts playing in his head.
He's
I can't wait, or I can't help falling in love with you.
He is totally devastated.
What's going on?
Yeah, it's bad. But Robin shakes him out of it.
So while Batman is devastated, we're broken out of this very comically because the Commodore not only trips and breaks the test tubes that contain all of the world security leaders, but he also sneezes on it.
This isn't enough. It's not enough that he broke it. He had to sneeze too. It's crazy.
It is, when I say comical, I'm not talking about comic books. I'm talking about...
It's very slapstick.
It's humorous, but not in a way that actually makes you laugh.
Yeah.
It's like, Wahoo!
It's crazy. And then, so now the world leaders are spread into dust.
And all mixed up.
They're all mixed up.
So,
somehow Batman and Robin clean it up.
They collect all of the dust. And then we are back in the Batcave, and we see them using their machine that is bat dust color separator collector
I think
thing.
it literally says that. I think that's what it literally says.
And what is Batman wearing? He's got his bat suit on, yes, but over top of the bat suit is a translucent plastic lab coat.
Yes.
And over top of that is his full functional utility belt.
That was a weakness to him earlier, but guess what?
He needs that.
He needs to access it.
Batman, he practices proper lab safety.
So then Robin suggests some eugenics experimentation on the world leaders.
Let's tinker with their DNA a little bit.
He says,
Make them
do
do
we
what we
really
want
want to like put them back how we found them, or should we like try to make them better? And this is a point where it's possible that the writers just thought, we'll have Batman say, no, we shouldn't be changing them. We should, keep them so that they can learn a lesson or whatever. They can better themselves. There are better ways to do this without forcing our hand onto others. But like, Robin did just suggest that they try eugenics. If they wanted to make this point, what I think would have worked better, and I know that this isn't really the point of the podcast for us to suggest fixes or whatever, but what I think what would have worked better is have somebody crazy on the villains team suggest that they do this.
That would have been their goal, yeah.
And then have one of the villains who makes more sense and has more compassion, like Catwoman, say, whoa. Look, I'm okay with dehydrating these people, but even I wouldn't want to change their genetics. But no, instead we're stuck with Robin suggesting that maybe we should,
change the world leaders somehow.
So Batman says, nah, dog.
we shouldn't play God.
We're not going to mess them up at all. We're going to leave them exactly how we found them.
Yeah, and to your point that we shouldn't play God, that's how Batman is consistent, when thinking about Superman.
Yeah.
So he's very against playing God.
Yeah.
In many.
So the separate at this point where they turn it on, and this is also world news. Like the commissioner and stuff is like wanting to know, like the whole world is on hold, wanting to know how if Batman and Robin are going to be able to fix the world leaders, because apparently I don't know.
Yeah, it's their job.
it's their job, I guess.
This is my
but
job.
The world peace hangs in the balance.
The world leaders back up.
Because the UN ambassadors are all dust or whatever.
My bats.
But yeah, so the separator works, and they go back to the UN with the now separated dust.
And everything is exactly as they found it, right?
They rehydrate them very dramatically, and the leaders rehydrate right into their seats where they were sitting, and they're all still arguing. Like, they're all still arguing as if they never stopped while they were dust.
But there's a
problem.
They are not exactly as they were found. Every world leader is now speaking not with the voice, but with the language of a different world leader.
And
again, no translator. So this is what I was talking about earlier when I said, this is actually a plot thing, because Batman leans over to Robin and says, we did good enough. This is actually
a good thing.
This is actually a good thing. Maybe now there will be peace. Now that no one can understand each other. Classic moment.
Eugenics you were talking about, we did that.
Yeah, but he's like, this could be the greatest thing we've ever done.
Yeah.
I'm like, wow, would it be modest, Bats?
He really came around to Robin's line of thinking.
Yeah, good job, Robin.
And then the movie ends with the greatest thing ever, the greatest line. I think the best line of the movie to me. He's like, let's sneak out inconspicuously through the window.
Yeah.
Inconspicuous.
So these terrible superheroes who fail at everything they try
sneak out the
now
window.
In the middle of the day,
inconspicuously
of course.
leave the world leaders building, and the credits roll while they like
shimmy down the window, like the side of the building. And remember, this is broad daylight. This isn't even like it's night. Like, they just in broad daylight.
Yep. Again, nothing happens at night unless he's Bruce Wayne.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, there was no. Batman did not operate in the shadows.
So this is the end of the film. We've reached the end of the plot. Finally.
How many hours has it been?
Like 2. This is a long episode.
It is a long episode.
I'm probably gonna have to cut it down a little bit,
Yeah.
but that's all right.
But like I said, there was a lot to talk about because a lot. A lot happened.
Yeah.
It's dense. A lot goes on. Every scene is packed with stuff to talk about. Like either the actors are doing stuff crazy, or it's just this weird. There's all kinds of stuff happen, and then it's long. Like they. Editing has come a long way because that date went off. Like it was like 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Like that date was on, and then the Penguin part that was like 15 minutes.
Yeah. Not bad. It doesn't drag too much. It does a little bit at the end just because I think we're now with modern superhero films that are a little bit more special effects heavy. We expect something a little bit different from our action scenes now. So that part was a little slow.
And this is good for the time.
Absolutely.
And this is the era of where. Movies didn't have long action set pieces, weren't even really a thing they were doing yet.
Yeah.
So other than westerns, but
you're always going to know what's happening and who it's happening to and what people want to do because they directly tell you.
Yeah.
The writing in it was very deliberate
Yeah.
It was very
Self-aware.
self-aware. It was very well thought through. It's not the kind of thing where, you know, like the recent Suicide Squad movie where they wrote the script for 2 weeks and then they started shooting. In this case,
I think the opposite happened.
this was a polished script that was not, you know, tossed off from writer to writer to writer 27 times or whatever.
And this is it's like I said, one thing, it's really dense, and it's like, you know, this is like, obviously the show was aimed at kids. It was aimed at kids, young people, whatever, families, a family show. But it's like, it's really talky, and it's really like, even the show was like that. It wasn't I'd say dumbed down. I mean, their dialogue was almost Shakespearean in a way.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
And it's
heavily stylized.
and even where where Superman wasn't even like that, you know. But this is really, really talky, really, you know, dense and packed with conversations and dialogue and stuff. And you know, they all fully committed to it. They really are, you know, they earn those paychecks. They
Definitely.
yeah.
They earned their place in history.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah. I mean, there's a reason why the show was finally remembered.
Yeah.
And it should be.
I think it was very much a reflection and a product of the 60s as well. Like we said, with the bright colors, the commentary on the federal government at the time.
And you know, and the attempt at multiculturalism.
Yeah,
and, you know, the attempt
nuclear arms race.
Yeah.
Let's get to. I guess we've done enough analysis during the plot discussion, but opinions. How do you guys feel about this thing?
This is my favorite Batman movie.
It's really fun.
I'll say
it is really fun.
When we started talking about watching this one, I thought I had never seen it, but I think I saw it when I was like 8 years old.
Probably.
I just didn't remember it.
If you watch the show, I think they've shown this on the show, like broken up into episodes.
Yeah.
I'm sure they have.
Yeah, and the show and this movie have been rerun many times.
Yeah. I'm gonna say this because we're gonna watch more Batman movies.
Okay.
I don't like any other Batman movies, but I love this movie.
I like a lot of Batman movies, but I recognize that most of them, about half of them are pretty bad. At least
I think
the
most
live action ones.
Most of them, I don't think a lot of them just don't understand what Batman is. Most of them are running away. They're running away from this. They're running away from this movie, and that's a shame. I think there's no reason why.
Yeah. So the next film is going to be the first '70s Wonder Woman made-for-TV movie. That one stars Kathy Crosby, not Linda Carter.
Who I met once.
A little bit later, the Linda Carter one came out, and we're going to do that one too. Even though that's a TV show, we've been doing the pilot TV movies for these things, so we're just going to keep that tradition up. As long as a TV show with a superhero has a pilot movie. Even if it's not necessarily released in theaters, I think we're going to go ahead and consider that part of the list. The next two really are going to be Wonder Woman, and we're going to see how those compare with each other. As for this movie, I'd highly recommend it.
I loved it. I watched the show as a kid, like religiously. So I love this. It was great. It's
not my favorite Batman. It's not my favorite Batman movie, but that doesn't diminish from it at all. It's really entertaining. It's really genuine, and I think we covered everything else. It's colorful, and it's a really fun time. I think we can go ahead and wrap it up.
Yeah.
All right.
Good movie.
Well, thanks for listening. If you're watching the video, thanks for watching. The next several episodes, at least from here on, we probably will not be doing video now anymore until we have some sort of special event or something that we want to do. It's something unique and special. We're gonna stick to the audio format for this podcast going forward. So that's what you have to look forward to. We will release a new episode next time.
Thanks for joining us.
Have a super day.
Later.
From Supermania.
Later, guys.
Bye.
My wife is like, "What are you doing?" God, what was I gonna say? I had a point. Never mind. Screw that up. Cut that out, Addie.
This plot is really, as you said, dense. Good luck editing that, man.
Yeah, that's gonna be it.